Hello everybody, I have just come up with a ridiculous challenge for myself, and so I thought I would document it. It has nothing to do with books at all, it is film related. I'm going to see if I'm gonna do more film content this year, because it is in the description of my channel that I talk about films, and I do really love films, so I'm gonna try and sprinkle in some film content in between the book stuff, but I should give you a little backstory for how this started. I'm on the mailing list for BAFTA, and they have released their long lists for their film awards. So the BAFTA Film Awards are happening this year on the 16th of February. Today it is currently the 9th of January when I'm filming this, and I went through these long lists and decided that I want to watch every film on the long list, or on some of the long lists, but I think for this video specifically I'm going to focus on one long list, but I want to watch all of the films on the BAFTA Best Films long list before the BAFTAs happen, so that I can give you guys my opinion and maybe make some predictions on who I think is going to win. So the one that I'm going to be focusing on, which is kind of sad for me because I'm really excited about the Outstanding British Film category, but I feel like it would make a better video if I did the Best Film long list. So on the long list we have Anora, The Apprentice, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Emelia Perez, Kneecap, The Substance, and Wicked. And I have been able to track down all of the films on this list except for The Brutalist and A Complete Unknown, because they haven't been released yet in Germany. Of these films on this list, I have already seen Dune Part 2, which leaves me with Anora, The Apprentice, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Emelia Perez, Kneecap, The Substance, and Wicked to watch before the 16th of February. And what makes this even crazier is that, unbeknownst to you, it's not part of this video, but I do also want to watch all the films in the Outstanding British Film category before then, so that I can be excited about whoever wins, even though I kind of already think I know who's gonna win, but you never know, I might be surprised. Now, now that I've given you an intro to my crazy idea, I'm gonna probably have to start watching these films. Hello everybody, it's me again. I am here to now chat to you about all of these films that I have watched. It is currently the 24th of January, which means that the shortlist for the best film has also been released, and I have seen 9 out of 10 of the films from the long list. The only one I haven't seen is The Brutalist, and that is because it is not out yet anywhere that I can find it. It is only, I think it's actually being released in theaters today. I literally cannot see it unless I book a very speedy train ticket to the nearest big city, which I'm not going to be doing. So there is no way for me to see this film. I won't be able to give you my thoughts on that one, unfortunately. But from the trailer that I've seen and from reading the synopsis, which I will read to you briefly, it sounds like it is going to be a brilliant film. So, it says, escaping post-war Europe, a visionary architect comes to America to rebuild his life, his career, and his marriage. On his own in a strange new country, he settles in Pennsylvania, where a wealthy and prominent industrialist recognizes his talent. Okay, now that doesn't say much, but if you just go and watch the trailer, you'll understand why I'm excited about this film, because you can just tell from the trailer that the film is going to be brilliant. I'm going to briefly give you a rundown of all the films that I have seen from the long list, and give you some quick thoughts on each of them, and then I will get to the shortlist and my predictions for who's going to win, because I think it's going to be a tight one. I think it's going to be a really tight one this year. So the first film on the list, I'm going to go through this list, not in alphabetical order, but in the order that I watched them. So the first film is Dune Part 2, which I saw last year sometime, and I don't remember much of because I saw it a while ago. But if you haven't seen it, it is Part 2 in the Dune series. If you haven't seen the first one either, then you won't really know what this world is about, but it's a sci-fi world, different planets, different people, extraterrestrial life. And in this one, the sort of heir to the throne of one of the big families from one of the planets is facing some struggles. He needs to choose between the love of his life and his kind of like familial duties and saving the universe and trying to make all of those three things the same, which, spoiler alert, obviously doesn't go his way, and that's probably what we'll find out in the next film. I remember when I watched this film, there are two distinct things that I remember. The first of them being that it was too long. It could have been half an hour shorter. And the second being that it was not as good as the first, which is often the case with sequels and a series of films. Obviously, usually the first one is the best because it's the introduction to the world, and it's kind of a whole, you don't have any expectations of it, unless obviously you have read the book Dune by Frank Herbert or the series of books, or seen the original film or the previous film version, in which case I think you might have had expectations. But seeing as how I had no idea about any of these things, I had never stepped into the Dune world ever before, I was pretty impressed by the first film. The second film, not so much. So, moving on, the next film that I watched was Emelia Perez. And this film, let me tell you, this was an interesting film. A Mexican lawyer is offered an unusual job to help a notorious cartel boss retire and transition into living as a woman, fulfilling a long-held desire. So, basically this cartel boss does not want to be a man anymore. He wants to have a sex change to be a woman. And he hires a lawyer to help him do that because there's lots of I don't know that there's that much legal stuff involved. But he obviously doesn't want people to know that he's having a sex change. And he kind of wants to disappear and then just start a new life as a woman without anybody knowing from his past life where he has disappeared off to. And it is also a musical. Musicals are not my favorite. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I don't generally enjoy musicals that much, but this musical was different. It was, I feel like, or most musicals actually, you kind of just have people talking in dialogue with each other, and then one person just suddenly breaks into song completely unannounced and like unrelated. It always feels a little bit disjointed to me, which is why I don't usually enjoy musicals as much. But this one was kind of, I mean, it was different because the dialogue that the people were having with each other was continued in the songs. So it was like they were singing to each other instead of just talking to each other, which I found really interesting, a really different take on that. And also the storyline in general was pretty intriguing and I think really well done. Essentially, what deep down the real message is, according to me, according to my observations, is somebody trying to, basically somebody trying to change their life by changing their outward appearance or their outward self. And there's a really great line that one of the surgeons that the lawyer goes and talks to about the sex change says to her, which I'm going to read to you from the script. The doctor says, "Lady, you know I only fix the body, skin, bones, but I will never fix the soul." And those two lines are basically the entire gist of the film. It is about this person trying to change their life and become a different person by changing their outward appearance. And for a time, it does work, but ultimately, at the end of the day, the person you were before and the person you are on the inside is still the same, regardless of what you look like on the outside or regardless of what you pretend to be on the outside, and kind of the way you present yourself to the world, essentially. And I thought it was a really brilliant way of kind of talking about that. Next up, I watched Wicked. I really was not intending on ever seeing this film when I heard of it coming out and when everybody was going on about it and being so excited about it. I had no intentions really of watching this film. And then it was on the BAFTA long list, so I kind of had to. Again, it's a musical. It's based on a stage play of the same name. It says, misunderstood because of her green skin, a young woman named Elphaba forges an unlikely but profound friendship with Glinda, a student with an unflinching desire for popularity. Following an encounter with the Wizard of Oz, their relationship soon reaches a crossroads as their lives begin to take very different paths. Now, listen. Again, it's a musical, and this was the kind of musical that I did not enjoy as much, because the musical numbers, I can tell why this is supposed to be a stage play. Let's just put it that way. The musical numbers were really long. There's a lot of dancing around in the background. They hired so many musical theatre actors for this film, I can already tell you, because there were so many extras behind in dancing on set and everything and singing. So I'm glad for those musical theatre actors who all got a great gig and a great day's pay, hopefully, out of this. But honestly, this film was like 2.5 hours of nothing. At the beginning of the film, when it says Wicked, it gives you the whole title card. It says Wicked, and then underneath pops up Part 1. And this film was like the origin story behind the origin story, and nothing really happens. So if you haven't seen this film and you would like to know the whole backstory of why Elphaba became known as the Wicked Witch of the West, was it the East? I don't remember, I think the West. You don't have to see this film. You can wait for the second one to come out and you'll probably get more information from that one, to be honest, because this was kind of just like a Hollywood money-making scheme, in my opinion, because they have a lot of very well-known actors, and obviously they did well at the box office, and they've been doing so much marketing and everything that so many people have gone to see this film. And yes, I don't think it's necessary to see this film if you are interested in the story. I think you could just wait for them to make the second one and watch that one instead, and you'll get the actual backstory. Apart from maybe the first 20 minutes of the film where Elphaba is actually a child and you see her being born and how her family treated her after she was born with green skin and everything, the rest of the film you don't need to see, in my opinion. All that being said, it was still a really fun film to watch. It was really enjoyable, and if you're looking for just an easy breezy film to watch and you don't want to have to think too hard, then this is the kind of film, and you like musicals, obviously, that's it as well. This is the film for you. I feel like I'm talking so much today, but we have a lot of films to get through. The next one is The Apprentice. It is a kind of origin story of Donald Trump, if you will. A young Can you hear that I've been talking a lot? My voice is not used to talking this much. A young Donald Trump, eager to make his name as the hungry second son of a wealthy family in 1970s New York, comes under the spell of cutthroat lawyer Roy Cohn. Cohn? I don't remember how to pronounce his name. Cohn sees in Trump the perfect protege, someone with raw ambition, a hunger for success, and a willingness to do whatever it takes to win. It was a good film. It was, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a fan of Donald Trump's in any way, shape or form, but this was a very good film and a very, I think, honest portrayal. I mean, I know nothing about him, but I would assume this was quite an honest portrayal of him in his younger days and how he kind of got taken under the wing of this lawyer and learned basically everything he knows from this man and kind of learned the tricks of the trade, I suppose, but also learned how to be the way that he is. This film kind of shows you how the lawyer was kind of molding Donald Trump to become this more sinister and cutthroat type of person for his own benefit, really. The lawyer's benefit, I mean. And obviously it also benefited Donald Trump because he made a lot of money. He lost a lot of money. He's world famous now. And he's president again. So I don't really know what to say about this film because I don't want to defend any of Donald Trump's actions, but it kind of makes you see how he became the way that he is. That doesn't mean it's okay. That doesn't mean I agree with his actions, not at all. But it kind of gives you a fair insight into how he is, or how he has become the person that he is. And I think that is basically what the point of this film was. It is not to get people to like Donald Trump. It is not to get people to feel sorry for him or to defend his actions or to make people sympathize with him or anything like that. But I think it is just for people to get a glimpse behind the orange mask, if you will. And I think all of the actors did a really good job portraying their characters, and I don't really want to promote this film because I don't think that Donald Trump needs any more airtime than he already has, but it was a very well made film, so I will say that. Then next up we have Anora. Anora, a young woman from Brooklyn, gets her chance at a Cinderella story when she meets and marries the son of an oligarch. Once the news reaches Russia, her fairy tale is threatened as the parents set out for New York to get the marriage annulled. This film, they should have called it chaos, because that is absolutely what it is. It is complete and utter chaos from the very beginning, and it was brilliant. It was so well done, even though it was so completely chaotic. All of the actors did such a brilliant job in their roles, and this whole film was just made so well. And I don't know that I want to say it was beautifully made, because it is very graphic and very raw and unfiltered, and I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for, but it's like it's not sugarcoating anything at all. Nothing. Everything is out there for you to see, and if you look, you're gonna see it. I just want to say, if you don't like nudity, please don't watch this film, because there is so much nudity in this film. Because the title character, Anora, she's a stripper in a club in Brooklyn, and there is like no shame, no sugarcoating anything, no trying to use creative camera shots to hide things. Nothing. No, none such. But I think it does the film a service in being so kind of graphic and everything, because you get a real sense of what life is like for these women, and also what's at stake for Anora in kind of making herself dependent upon this one man, or this one kind of actually boy, because he's only 21 or 22, and he really is a child, but he has so much money because of his dad, his parents, and he just spends it however he likes. It is a brilliant story, and it is a brilliantly made film, and I hope it wins some awards because it really deserves to. Next up we have Kneecap, which is a comedy slash musical, but a musical in a different way because it's rap and it's in Irish, and it's based on real people. So Kneecap is the name of an actual band in Ireland, and this is their kind of a biography of them, but it's just made into a film. When fate brings a Belfast teacher into the orbit of self-confessed low-life scum, Nisha and Liam, the needle drops on a hip-hop act like no other. Rapping in their native Irish language, they soon lead a movement to save their mother tongue. So essentially this takes place in, I don't remember what year, but a couple of years ago, when there was a kind of petition and like protests and stuff in Ireland about making Irish an official language in Ireland so that it would not die out and just become obsolete and everything, and to allow people to speak in their mother tongue, and to kind of also make it so that people learn Irish and don't let it just fade into obscurity. And these two rappers were instrumental in making that happen, because they became very popular and they were very controversial, but they were rapping only or mostly in Irish, and so through their controversiality and their popularity, they brought a lot of attention to the movement and to the issue, and helped put into law, or put through a kind of law that makes Irish an official language in Ireland. The three main characters, so the two rappers and the teacher, are played by the actual people who they are in real life. So they are themselves in the film, which I found really interesting, and I think it really helped a lot, because the people acting as themselves obviously didn't really have to act much, because they were just being themselves, other than, you know, speaking their respective lines and stuff like that. But I don't think the film suffered for it at all. I think it was actually better for it and richer for it, and this film is such a weird film, and I don't really know what to say about this film, but it was really, really good. Then, on to the next film. Man, was this a weird film. The next film I saw was The Substance. And this is the weirdest film I have seen in a long, long, long time. And that's saying a lot, because I watch many a weird film. I have a tendency to watch really strange films, but this one was something else. Elizabeth Sparkle, renowned for an aerobics show, faces a devastating blow on her 50th birthday as her boss fires her. Amid her distress, a laboratory offers her a substance which promises to transform her into an enhanced version of herself. First of all, if you are squeamish in any way, shape or form, please don't watch this film, because it is fairly disgusting at certain points, especially towards the end, and it is not a pleasant viewing experience if you are somebody who is easily grossed out or has like problems with seeing blood and gore and guts and stuff like that. So if you are that kind of person, please don't watch this film, because it is what 30% of this film is made up of. There's also a lot of nudity in this film, so if you don't like nudity, also don't watch it. But oh my gosh, it is such a strange film. The story, the message behind the film is a very noble one. It is about kind of the way that the media sees women and aging women, and how women feel like they have to stay young forever to be seen as beautiful and worthy and useful by the media and by Hollywood and maybe Northern America mostly. So it has a good message behind it, but the way that the filmmakers went about telling this story and this message just is so weird. So basically what happens is you take the substance, another version of yourself kind of is born out of your body, or like grows out of your body, if you will, so that you have an alternate version of you, and then you each spend 7 days as each version of you. So you have 7 days as your original self, and then 7 days as your better self or your alternative self. And you have to keep switching back and forth. Obviously, things go wrong because people are selfish, and why would they not? But I feel like there were so many things in this film that were put in for the convenience of making the story flow, but that are quite unrealistic, and there were a lot of plot holes that just didn't make sense somehow. So, I don't know, do with that what you will. This was definitely my least favorite film on the list. I'm not saying it's a bad film, it's just really weird, and I feel like it could have been made better if maybe the writer and production team had just taken a little bit longer to sit with the script and work through a few little snags to fix those like convenient plot holes that they left. Next up, my favorite film on this list, Conclave. Cardinal Lawrence has one of the world's most secretive and ancient events, participating in the selection of a new pope. Surrounded by powerful religious leaders in the halls of the Vatican, he soon uncovers a trail of deep secrets that could shake the very foundation of the Roman Catholic Church. I feel like that description doesn't really do it justice, because this film is so much more complicated and so much more complex, and at the same time it's such a simple film and so kind of sparse. The story is so good at giving you just enough and not letting you in before you actually need to know anything. And it kind of, while I was watching this film, it felt like everything was happening in slow motion, because the whole film is so kind of restrained and held back and quiet, and the people make such deliberate moves. Like nothing is wasted in this film. It's such a brilliant film. I want everybody to see this film so badly because it is so good, and I actually can't even tell you all of my thoughts on this film, because even I can't comprehend all of my own thoughts, because I'm just mind blown by this film. I am speechless. Obviously not, because I've said a lot about it, but it was breathtaking and so brilliantly done, so brilliantly acted. They got just the perfect people for their roles, I think. And oh my gosh, it is such a well-made film. I wish I had written down all of my thoughts in maybe like a coherent, succinct manner that I could read them to you, because there's so much happening. There's so much going on in my brain that I can't tell you any of it, because I can't form it into coherent sentences. But suffice it to say, the fact that I can't tell you my thoughts about this film should indicate to you that it is so good, and that I honestly think that anybody who watches this film will enjoy it. I think it will be controversial and maybe upsetting to some people, but I think it is worth everybody watching this film. The last film that I have seen on this list is A Complete Unknown, which is a biography of Bob Dylan. In the early 1960s, 19-year-old Bob Dylan arrives in New York with his guitar and revolutionary talent, destined to change the course of American music. Forming his most intimate relationships during his rise to fame, he grows restless with the folk movement, making a controversial choice that reverberates worldwide. So, this film follows maybe the first 5 or 6 years in Bob Dylan's kind of career as a musician. This film was really, really well done, I think. All of the actors who played their roles did such a good job at it. I don't really know, obviously, the mannerisms and all of those things. I'm not a Bob Dylan fan by any stretch of the word, because I honestly don't like his voice, because he can't sing, to be completely frank with you, and I think everybody knows that. And still there are millions of people who listen to his music because his music is so brilliant. And he was a really good songwriter. Or is he still alive? I don't know. I don't remember. He really is a brilliant songwriter. And his lyrics are so good. His songs are so good. If only he had had a better voice. But that's just my thoughts on Bob Dylan. The film itself was really beautifully made, and I think a really good portrayal of his early years, and kind of leading up to his transition away from folk music, as it were, or traditional folk music, where he went more electric and started maybe a little bit more rock-ish and that kind of stuff. I wasn't sure about Timothée Chalamet as Bob Dylan when I first heard of it, but I think he did a really good job. He really did, especially with his singing. Luckily, you don't have to be able to sing to play Bob Dylan, even though I do think Timothée Chalamet can sing in real life, but his voice, when he sang, did sound really very similar to Bob Dylan's, from my limited knowledge, you know. And the woman who played Joan Baez was brilliant. She has such a beautiful voice. Obviously, she's not Joan Baez. She doesn't sound exactly the same, but she sounds so beautiful when she sang those songs. And I honestly think this was a really good biographical fiction movie. It is worth watching. Especially, I mean, if you're a Bob Dylan fan, obviously, I think you would want to watch this film anyway, because it's about Bob Dylan and you are a Bob Dylan fan. But even if you aren't a Bob Dylan fan, like me, I think it's really still worth watching, because it's a really interesting look into the kind of behind the scenes, sort of his life, and how he became Bob Dylan, and how he kind of dealt with that, and his private life, and I don't know, his kind of back and forth with Joan Baez. The film that Kate Blanchett starred in, where she was Bob Dylan, I'm Not There, has been on my watch list for a really long time, and I haven't gotten around to doing it. But now that I've seen this movie, I kind of want to go and watch that one and compare and see if I can find maybe other pieces of information that I couldn't find from this film. On the shortlist for the best film at the BAFTAs this year is A Complete Unknown, Anora, Conclave, Emelia Perez, and The Brutalist. I honestly think that this is a very fair shortlist, because in my opinion, these are the 5 best films on that list, even though I haven't seen one of them. The other films that I have seen were not, in my opinion, were not as good as these other 5. So I think this is a very fair best film shortlist, and I don't think they've put anything on there just because it's popular or because it's been nominated in 500 other categories, which I feel like is something that sometimes happens at the Oscars. That's just my feeling, but that's besides the point. So, of these 5 nominations, I think you can already tell which one I think is going to win. My honest prediction is that that Conclave will win Best Film at the BAFTAs this year. It has also been nominated 11 other times in the different categories. It has definitely made an impression on the people of BAFTA. My predictions are that Conclave will win, and also that Conclave should win, but I think that there is a very possible chance that either Emelia Perez or A Complete Unknown will win, because they are both really good films, and I think they are just the right kind of, maybe just, I don't know, different, controversial, popular enough to sway enough of the voting body towards them. But for some reason, I don't know, I think Conclave should win. I really do think it should win. Obviously, The Brutalist is a wild card for me because I haven't seen it and I don't really know much about it. So there is also a possible chance that that one will win. I mean, it's a shortlist. It's a 1 out of 5. It's very possible that any of these could win, but I do think that Conclave is going to be the winner. I'm very excited to see what is going to happen on the 16th of February. Who will be winning and who will be losing, and will I be shocked to learn that maybe out of all of these films, Anora wins Best Film? I don't know. But I feel like I've been yapping on for way too long now, and maybe you're tired of listening to me talk about these films. So, if you've seen any of these films, please let me know your thoughts on them down below. Give me your prediction for who's going to win. If you've seen these films, let me know your thoughts below. Also, let me know if you enjoyed this video and if you'd like to see me make more film content, because I have mostly been doing book stuff in the past, but I want to incorporate a little bit more film content, and I have a few ideas for more videos in the future. But let me know if you like this kind of thing, or if you'd prefer me to make other kind of film content. Let me know your thoughts. Give me ideas down below. I'm always eager to hear your feedback, because I like having conversations with you in the comments. So thank you all for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I will see you all again next week with another one. Bye.